Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Riverview. It is January 3rd. The weather forecast is for there to be snow, but Delores is off early because we've got a sowing contract, ladies and gents. And I bet you can't guess which field it's on. Yeah, that's right. Field 32, the one I was cultivating in the last episode. So we've now done the harvest, cultivating, and we're getting paid to re-sow. Oh well, what can I do? And also 120 grand for sowing it, so good money. That'll take us nicely into March then, ladies and gents. Yeah. Very happy business days for Delores, unfortunately. Not a lot else occurring apart from this one lovely seeding type deal. The good news is we need to load a board. I haven't got loaded for this particular machine. I was using the Series 9. Cultivate it, and this is the Series 8, ladies and gentlemen. Different tractor, really should have refueled it. Didn't check that, did I, before I just drove off? Let's load up a course. 0 degrees will do. Auto whip will be even better. Supposed to be 9 meters this, so 9.2. I think you can get away with 9.4 with this particular seeder, but I would rather not. Right on the subject. See, feeding the right spot. Hopefully, get this contract done. Really? Fortunately, the field is all covered in stone, so it's going to absolutely trash my seeder. Cheers, Mr. Farmer. Not doing stone collecting. Huh? I think the AI should do stone picking there. I really do. The fields look awful. If not, offer contracts for it, Giant. You're going to mess with the contract system, take away all the harvesting contracts and all the good things, at least give us some other contracts back. You know, no stone picking's not the funniest thing in the world, but at least offer us players something that we could spend our time doing when we're not on our own fields. And sorry I keep yawning. I don't know why that is. I'm not tired. I'm not actually tired, mate. I don't know why I'm yawning. Oxygen related. I haven't checked my oxygen levels today. I haven't got enough. I'm not getting enough. Yeah, I'm going to do the headlands first. I know you wouldn't do headlands first in real life. You'd do it last. Not compact all the soil where the seed is. Seeded and drilled and stuff. But, you know, this is a game. Not real life. I prefer to do my headlands first. Then it creates a bit of space for me to be able to turn around when I'm doing my up and downs. Zags and side to side and spirals and whatever. I'm struggling a little bit. Speed. Delores might be a little bit underpowered. Maybe it's the elevation changes in the field, the contours, the up and down hills. Right, now we're on this fairly level bit. Kind of motoring along again. Well, 3 contracts on the same field, ladies and gentlemen. Done. We've completed 3 contracts on this field. Of course, we've already done some in the past as well, fertilising, herbiciding, that kind of stuff. As I've said in the past, in past videos, if this was Farm Sim 17, we'd be well in line for a good discount on this field if we were ever going to buy it. We'll have probably earned quite a discount from the farmer for all our good work that we've done for him. If he ever was in the selling mood, it paid reasonably well. It's an option. But we don't have that luxury because Giants never ever put it back in the game, the discount for performing multiple jobs for a farmer. No kind of discounts. Although there has been a lot of mods coming out just recently that does change the fields a bit. I haven't actually covered many of them because, again, a lot of the mods I download need to be multiplayer compatible for obvious reasons, because I like to play multiplayer. But there are mods which have come out which enable, obviously we've got field leasing, which is one mod I've used, but then there's one which does like dynamic prices, where the field prices change based on what stage they're in. So if you buy a field which has got a crop on it that's ready to harvest, that field price goes up. So it's more expensive to buy land which has got crop on it than it is to buy land that's ploughed or cultivated or has been harvested. I think the dynamic prices mod makes it so that if the field's been harvested, it's at its lowest price. The fields are at the lowest price when they've just been harvested, and then the price goes up as they have various things done to them. And obviously, if you buy a field that's got a crop on it ready to harvest, that's when it's at its maximum price. Cuts down a lot on the field flipping aspect of the game, some players do, because then obviously if you buy a field ready to harvest and pay say $1 million, you harvest the field, go to sell the field back, the field might only be worth 500,000. You're going to lose 500 grand. So yeah, the dynamic prices mod kind of stops the field flippers. Puts that mechanic out of the game. There's also a mod that does land sales or land auctions, where you get a notification that the field has gone is up for sale, and you can put a bid in for it, and the AI will bid. Basically, you get in like a bit of a bidding war with the AI. See who buys the field. That mod's a little bit weird because I think the only way you can buy land is via, you have to wait for the sales to happen. You can't just go into the map screen and buy land whenever you want. You have to wait until there is a sale or an auction, which kind of slows your growth down a little bit, slows down your expansion, because you can't just buy fields and land willy-nilly when you want. Again, interesting mod, something to maybe try out in the future, on another map, in a different series down the road. It's also be interesting to find out if all these mods play nicely with each other. Like if the dynamic prices mod plays nicely with the auctions, field sales mod, conflict. Because that could be quite good, I think. Having those two mods together, buy fields quite cheap if they're harvested, sell land ready to harvest, make a bit more money, make some money by selling land, buy other cheaper land. Although you probably would just harvest the crop, wouldn't you? Hey, there's different ways and means of doing things. They're going to be doing this a bit of time. Feeding. Like I say, hopefully, as the calendar progresses a bit, hopefully move into some, start to get a bit more stuff happening once we sort of hit, like, you know, February, or contracts appearing. But at the moment, I think it's purely down to growth states of fields, really, isn't it? A lot of stuff growing. I'm surprised there isn't, but I've probably done all the fertilising. If I actually look at the fields are fully fertilised, so even if there's not going to be any fertilising contract. There's no weeds on any of these fields, so there's not going to be any weeding, not going to be any herbicide spraying. So yeah, right now we're probably waiting for harvest contracts. There's going to be a load of harvest contracts springing up, because all the fields are probably going to want harvesting round about the same sort of times. So Delores will probably have a lot of contracts to do for harvesting. So at that point, we start to think, is it worth investing in our own harvester? Doing the contract, you don't have to lease and borrow stuff. Or, if we do lease and borrow equipment, we then double up. So, the turnaround time on the contract is a lot faster. Like, we could have two harvesters, she'll have her own machine, and then one from the contract. The two harvesters, harvesting obviously is a lot faster. You have two trailers, although chances are it's probably better for Delores to invest in her own trailer, because as we saw with the last harvest contract, the trailer that they gave us for this field was rather big, tractor was rather small, it was a little bit slow pulling the trailer on the field. We probably need to rectify that. It also was very difficult to get in and out of the sell point with that trailer. So we probably want a smaller trailer, physically, smaller bodied trailer that maybe has that still has a decent capacity, of course, because we don't want to be making 50 journeys when we could be doing it in 20. So she could do with probably getting her own trailer, help with the harvesting contract. Then it's a case of, do we get a harvester? Now, like I say, in the last video, we was looking, and there was a harvester on sale, wasn't there? The Ideal Fent. Oh, it's such a shame that it's a Fent, ladies and gents. If I bought a Fent harvester, you know, Mr. Helgi would be absolutely delighted in the comment section. He'd be like, oh, you bought a proper harvester, bought a really good machine. And I just don't want to encourage him. I don't want to encourage him to think that Fents are good. You know. shame it's a Fendt harvester. If it had been an Agco one, if it had been the Agco or Massey Ferguson, not a problem. I'd have bought it straight away. On a blink. Unfortunately, ladies and gents, it's not. It's the Fendt. If I buy it, it's just going to be like... giving Mr. Helgi fuel. Trying to wean him off the fence. On the current multiplayer server, we've started on, obviously, Calmston. We started a multiplayer server on Calmston. And on Calmston, obviously, when you start the game in New Farmer, you get 2 John Deere tractors. You get a class harvester. And you get you do get a tiny little Fendt tractor, but it's a bit useless for anything, really. It really does struggle. It's basically just used for carting. The harvester, it can't really do much else from that. It's very low powered. So yeah, he's kind of been forced to use John Deere's, the 2 John Deere 6Rs at the minute that you start with. So all the proper jobs on the map: ploughing, cultivating, seeding, lime spreading, fertilising, etc, 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 all have to be done using either of the 2 John Deeres. Kind of weaning him off a bit. It's kind of weaning him off of the Fendt. Doesn't have the luxury of a 1050 or a 939 or anything at the moment. I'm sure he'll try and wrangle his way into getting a Fendt tractor. Sure, he'll try. That's why I don't give him permissions to buy stuff, ladies and gents. Then he can't spend all our farm money on equipment that I don't want. I don't want. I'm joking, ladies and gents. I don't really have a thing against Fendts. I actually really like them. They're a very common sight in the area where I live in real life. A lot of the farmers, real life farmers around where I live in the UK use Fendt. The problem I have with Fendt is they tend, again, because it's Mr. Helgi, you always end up using them. Doesn't use anything else, and I get a little bit bored. I like to use different equipment, use different vehicles, different tractors when I'm playing the game. I don't like using the same stuff all the time. Same stuff, different map. That's ultimately kind of where you end up. And there's so much stuff to explore and so much new stuff coming out all the time for the game that I don't want to get bogged down using the same old stuff. I'd like to try new stuff all the time, new equipment, and see what the wonderful modders are doing and bringing to the game and how it makes things different. I also think for viewers it's a little bit more interesting if we don't use the same vehicles all the time on every single, every map we play. It keeps things a bit different. Like, this is the first time I'm using this seeder. This is the first map I'm using this seeder on, although we do have it in the multiplayer as well. But that's off the back of the fact that I'm using it in this map, and I think it's quite a decent seeder. You know, it's the seeder that was in FS19 that for some reason isn't included in FS22. So the fact that a modder's brought it back and given it a bit of a tweak and a bit of an upgrade is kind of cool, and I like it. Because there's not a lot of large size direct drill seeders in the game. And for people playing with precision farming, where obviously direct drill is very important, because every time you cultivate or plough, it ruins your environmental score. You really need to be direct drilling when it comes to seeding and planting, but there are so few decent sized direct drill seeders and planters. You know, if you've got a big field, it takes you ages to do them with the base game equipment. So this being a 9 metre direct drill seeder is really cool. The fact it can, you know, it can trundle along at a fairly decent pace as well, pretty good. I mean, obviously the next step up from this is probably the Bourgeot air carts, air seeders. Giants released as mods. You'd probably need to go for them next, like 24 metres and above, maybe a too big, some maps. And again, when it comes to planters, there's not really a lot of new options, modding world. So a lot of the planters that I'm using currently are ones where, like, when I go into direct drill planters, for example, I will be going into things like the edited Inzes, tempos. Or no, maybe not the tempo because it doesn't direct drill, but the and the Kenzie doesn't direct drill. I wonder if that's a mistake, you know, on Stevie's part. I wonder if Stevie should have made those direct drill, because the original is direct drill. The difference with Stevie's is he gives you the option to increase your seed capacity quite high. Gives you an extra seed, you know, you can have 15,000 litre capacity. So if you're doing seeding, of some, like if you're doing potatoes and sugar beets and sugar cane, which absolutely gobble up the seed, and poplar, they have big seed tanks, so you don't have to refill quite so frequently. They also can obviously travel quite quickly, like the HS edition, 27 kilometers an hour for people that want to do fast farming and unrealistic farming. You can get like the high speed edition, whereas I'm quite happy with the normal one, doing the normal regular speed. However, I would want that to direct drill. So that is something I will probably have to manually fix. But yeah, when it comes to planters, ladies and gents, there's not a lot of options. And if you want one that's direct drill and you want a decent sized one, or one with a decent seed capacity, to most of the planters, in all fairness, the game, they have really small seed tanks on them. Don't know why that is. I'm pretty sure corn seed and soybean seed, the things you typically plant with planters, fairly big seeds. They take up a lot of space, so I don't want a small tank. Big holders. Be able to plant loads of them without refilling every 2 minutes. It's snowing. Delores gets to do some seeding in the snow, ladies and gentlemen. Should see the snow. Right, we're just going to work lengthways across the field now. Slightly different direction to how we cultivated the field. That's a tip I picked up from watching Millennial Farmer the other day, ladies and gentlemen. In his video, when he was doing his planting, he did it in a crop across the direction of the cultivator. So if the cultivator had planted east to west, for example, the cultivator had cultivated east to west across the field, he planted north to south, or northeast to southeast or northwest to southwest. He went at an angle across the cultivated field, so he wasn't riding and trying to plant in the tracks made by the tractor that was pulling the cultivator or the cultivator itself. Because he says the problem when you go over, you're seeding or planting over in the same direction as you've cultivated, is where you get to those areas where the tractor wheels and that have been, and you've got the deeper grooves. Your planter needs to have a lot more downforce pressure to be able to actually seed into those areas. And obviously, for those of you that have been following Millennial Farmer, you know his planter is currently quite bad. It's operating very badly after it got tornadoed. It got damaged in that tornado that he had a couple of weeks ago, so it's not functioning properly. A lot of it doesn't really, and I think he'll be replacing that planter at the end of the current season. Once he's got his planting done, I think he'll get rid of that planter, because he's having to call the dealership. He's constantly having to have the mechanic come out to replace sensors on it and budge it, because it keeps just going wrong. It keeps giving him errors all the time, and things aren't working, and this isn't. And he says he just can't be doing with it, you know. So he just needs to get through the current planting window that he's in, get his planting finished for the year, then he can get rid of the planter, scrap it, sell it, whatever, and then he can spend the rest of the year then looking at what to invest in next year, so that when next year he comes to do his planting, he's got an actual reliable piece of equipment that actually does what it's supposed to do and doesn't keep slowing him down and stopping him from making progress because it keeps giving him errors, and it needs to have engineers come out and budge it and fix it, and and then 5 minutes later it has the same error again. And then you have to call the engineer back because it just keeps breaking down. Wow, we've got a blizzard, ladies and gents. Quite snowy. Poor old Delores, out here working away on all the elements. We wouldn't have it any other way, would we, people? But we've got the bloody hell, she's got the aircon on. She's got it at 19 degrees, ladies and gents. I think in this weather, Delores, you want the heater on. Don't need the aircon turned on, lady. But yeah, I suppose I ought to be getting excited as well, because obviously we're only a couple of weeks away from the Kubota DLC coming out. Now, it's mid-June now, and well actually, Kubota DLC will be next week, I think, won't it? Next Tuesday? I think. Yeah. Or is it the week after? Yeah, Kubota DLC is out soon. I assume we'll get another patch for the game at that point as well. We'll get patch 1.6 come out. Hope giants don't break more stuff in the game. I really do. I hope they don't break more stuff. I hope they actually fix things that they've broken in recent updates, like the contract. You know? It would be nice. I hope they finally get round to fixing some of the issues that players are reporting. I hope they get round to fixing the things that I keep reporting every time they do an update that they still haven't fixed. And no, I'm not going to go on about the start. I'm not going to go on my start button rant again. You've all heard that enough. For obviously those of us playing with trollers. Bit annoying. But what? I'm burning through my seed, ladies and gents. 42% left. Go on, boss man. be able to finish seeding this field then. There's a lot of field to seed, ladies and gents. As you can see, there's a heck of a lot of field still to seed. Field calculator. This is what, field 32? Tell me seed. Estimate. It doesn't tell me seed cost. It tells me lime, fertilizer, herbicide. Or oh, okay, 7,460 litres is the seed usage, estimated seed usage. I didn't start with that much. And I've only got 2,800 left, so yeah, I'm going to have to go and refill. Buy some more seed. Delores will not have enough to complete this contract. That's okay. It'll also give us a chance to go and refuel the tractor as well, won't it? Down to a third of a tank, probably less than a third of a tank. And forget how balmy the weather is. Just something that, again, my own curiosity, right? If I have snow turned off, why is it snowing in the game? I know that setting only stops the snow from settling on the ground and being a nuisance on the ground and having to be shoveled or cleared with salt, etc. I would like to actually be able to turn off snowfall with the same option. Disable the snow falling entirely. I don't mind the rain, but snow does get a little bit annoying, especially given the fact that all snowflakes are the same size. Not very realistic. And the fact that they even fall inside your cab when you're in the in-cab view. Send your eyes funny after a while. I do like Stevie, the fact that on Stevie's modded tractors he always puts that rear view camera in when you're cycling through your cameras. External, internal, rear view, back to external. It's quite cool that he puts a rear view camera on every one of his modded vehicles. Saves you having to keep manually turning round. You can leave the camera view obviously focused on the front and just click the button again to quickly look at the back and see what your tool and implement's doing, and then go back to external view. Again, a very simple thing. Why is it not a standard feature in the game on all vehicles? Why don't Giants put a rear view camera on all the vehicles? For you to select and be able to, you know, quick select when you're in cab. Why do modders come up with better methods for doing things than the actual people that make the game? The developers. Quality of give us a simple quality of life, things like that, you know. Why is it not just already in the game? I always find myself asking these sort of questions. There we go. Getting through the seed. Snow is falling. Delores is freezing. We've got this contract. 119,000. We're closing in on halfway. We'll get that finished today. Then it'll be February. Next video will be in February. At which point, I'm guessing there'll probably be a fertilising contract for this field, or a weeding contract, or a spraying contract. So, yeah, probably haven't seen the back of this field yet, ladies and gents. We've probably still got a bit more work to do on this field, but hopefully 1st of February there'll be some other contracts as well, as other fields on the map go through their own status updates. I mean, as far as our own fields go, up here there's only field 8, I think, which requires another dose of fertilizer. The problem is I'm not going to be able to dose it with fertilizer because I won't have skinny crop friendly wheels. So ultimately I have to mix up some of these fields as well. Field again, I haven't sorted out field 11, ladies and gents. I meant to do that. I'll do that in the next video. So, correct field 11, because I don't like the fact that field 11 is a grass field and it's telling me it needs ploughing and everything. So I will fix that in the next video with the Easy Devs tool to show you guys how easy it is to do that with that mod, just to save me some time, because it's a grass field. I don't need to plough a grass field, especially one that's in an animal enclosure, because it's probably going to be difficult to do. So I'll just use the mod to make that right. But for now, ladies and gents, we have reached the end of the episode, sadly. So take care of yourselves, stay safe, goodbye for now.